Good day, welcome back. This is a video in what will be a new series, which was inevitably going to happen. I haven't quite completed my series on World Chess Championship blunders, but obviously with the candidates going on at the moment, I thought I could kick off the following series on blunders in candidates. You get a chance to look at some chess and sort of analyze positions, almost like a bit of chess training and tactics training. But I'm using that as the vehicle for, from a personal perspective, just going back over all the World Chess Championships and now the candidates, seeing who the good players were, who the great players were, who was close to qualifying, who didn't qualify, and then obviously the blunders are part of the factor in terms of why certain players did or did not make it to the World Chess Championship. I mean, for World Chess Championship, we've seen already with Chigor and his enormously horrible blunder, or Bronstein. There are people who did not become World Chess Championships winners who may well have done if they had not had those blunders. So just a bit of a tour of the history of the candidates. Now, I'm doing this right now. Obviously, you're probably getting like 100 videos a day on the candidates, and I'm doing this video just a day or two after Wei Yi's blunder in round 3, was it? A bit disappointing. I thought Wei Yi might do quite well in this tournament. Obviously, he's not one of the top favourites, Caruana and Nakamura, obviously. And as I record the video, Sindarov is on an absolute tear, so we'll see how that all goes. But the fact that Wei Yi made this pretty bad blunder early on in the game, just said, okay, well, I'll use that as the kicking off point for having a quick look at the blunders in candidates themselves. Now, I'm not really going to look at a tournament per se this time around, just a bit of intro, and obviously we look at what the candidates are and sort of my approach to analysing them through the lens of the blunders. Okay, so let's switch across to the cap screen, and we've just got up the Wikipedia page on the candidates tournament here. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Obviously, it is the tournament to determine the challenger for the World Chess Champion. I mean, obviously, in the past, it tended to be kind of casual arrangements between people who could afford to do it. And then now it's been much more systematized. There are 3 precursors. Avro tournament, quite famous. And then really after World War II, it kicked off with the tournament to determine the World Chess Champion, which Botvinnik won. And then the first candidates was in 1950, Budapest, Zurich. Very famous one in Zurich, Amsterdam. The one in Bled, I believe, also very famous. Fischer's appearance on the scene. And then the Curacao Isus, which Fischer pulled out of. And actually the candidates changed over to the matches between 2 players. So that system changed. And anyway, so got all the candidates all the way through, blah, 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 keeps going. Then you had the split in the system. And then really since this rematch period has been quite good with the candidates. The one which Gelfand won was the last of the match ones. And then from 2013 onwards, which Carlsen won, you've had back to 8-player double round robin candidate tournaments, which I really like that format. But there still are some blunders in those. So that's sort of a broad tour of what will be going on, and just going to have a look at what we're going to do. So that's what the candidates was, and obviously you want to set yourself up a database. Now there's a couple of different ways of doing it. You can see in my screen here, I have got 1940 games here. There's actually more. I haven't got this up to date. You can see there the first, was it round 1, Gareth Stalberg, and that's 1950, and it goes all the way through. So basically, you can either just filter for candidates in a bigger database, or I think I got these ones from PG Mentor and just stuck them together. Very good website for gathering this sort of information. So once you've got the database, that's the starting point, and then you want to do a batch analysis of it for finding blunders, which I did. I did this a while ago, and I'll just sort of demonstrate the process here. What you're talking about is you can choose depth, number of moves, or time. I think I was doing this at about 24, 26 depth. Then you get different things about you give up after a while if the game's too one-sided. You add the variations, you add the score. Got to add the score because that's useful for my later analysis. Both sides, and then the thing you click here is the batch annotate, so that will just start on the game you're on, that first game, and then after it's finished, that'll go on the next one. And it took me several days doing that at the depth I wanted, and I did this file some time ago. But anyway, that's sort of the batch process, and then you want to sort of be processing through it. And obviously, the most basic way of doing it here we are in Skid vs. C. By the way, I'm using the new version just to try it out and see what it's like. I mean, they've got their sort of score bar there, Evo bar. So one of the other tools, we have score graph. Once you've done that analysis, you'll see a score graph. Now, there is some issues with the way I've done it. Did it a while ago, actually. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is then using some of the Python tools, which you've seen me use for the World Chess Championship matches, and I've sort of tweaked a little bit to do the same thing for candidates. So just one of them does charts. So let's do the first candidates. And there's a chart. You can see that you've got Boleslavsky, that sort of browny color, and the green, Bronstein drawing, and then they had a playoff. Bronstein won, then he lost to Botvinnik. So that's showing you the profile through the candidates match. Obviously, what I want to add to this is annotate these charts with the blunders, because then you'll know, oh, so-and-so blundered in this round, that maybe had a big impact on it, and we can try another one. So that's the 53 Zurich tournament, and the black one there, Smyslov, came top, and a bit of a gap at the end between Karas, who always came second, and Reshevsky, players like that. So I've got this chart, so I can sort of get a quick overview. Who was at the bottom there? Szabo didn't do very well. Okay, cool. So there's that. The next tool I have is where I run through the PGN, because what I do after doing the analysis, the batch analysis, I save it all to PGN, and then Python code can just go through it using Python Chess and basically just look at every sort of move and see if there's a change in the score. And that's when you can see this is a bit overwhelming. If I look at that, it just gives you the results. So this is the Budapest tournament. Round one, Stolberg versus Keres. This is telling me that on move 47, H to H3 was a blunder by White, where it went from -12 evaluation to -376 eval. Keres won that game. So basically, I get this sort of summary of what happened in the game, and I was obviously looking for ones which have this biggest deviation, but then you ignore some. Like this one, Smyslov had mate, according to, they would be mate within 10 or 20, whatever it was, and then his move wasn't mate anymore, but he was still totally winning. So something like that I wouldn't include. You'd also step through. You could just, once you're looking at an individual tournament, you can walk through the score charts in Skin versus PC, and you can do it that way. So that gives you the sense of how I did the World Chess Championship games, and now I'm going to be able to do the candidates. Same process. I have a look at the chart, have a look at this output here, and then I can go and look at the individual games. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at 3 games. And this is it's like cherry picking the best blunders. Well, the Wei Yi ones are one of the best ones, but the other two definitely are. If you do any sort of Googling of blunders in candidates, they are the ones which will be the AI will tell you about. Just to give you a flavour of what I'll be covering in this series. But first of all, we'll do the Wei Yi game. Now, I'm going to say with Wei Yi, that game, you search Caruana Wei Yi, and you get a PGN. You get a PGN from Lee Chess or Chess.com or whatever. You get the PGN because obviously it won't be in the databases like Lumbris or Kaiser, which I've been using. You'll have to sort of grab the game. So I did that. I have grabbed that game, and it's actually game. That's the number it is, and we can have a look at it. And this one's quite straightforward. We'll just look at it quickly. Key moment is around about here. Position is fairly even here. Obviously, the rook's guarding the pawn. All the colors are different because I haven't set it up, stopping the bishop from getting out. So that's the sort of the only slightly troubling thing on the black position. Otherwise, it's fairly even. And knight f6 is given as a move to attack that pawn. It's quite funny. I have to set up my colors. Anyway, what was played was knight to e5. Now, this is different. As always, you can quickly stop the video and have a look at why that is a blunder versus the alternative. Right, and you very quickly see it in the continuation. In this case, the knight can take the knight takes e5, rook takes back, knight to d1, bishop's toast. Yeah, so that was very disappointing. And then after knight d1, where he resigned, obviously a bit of an oversight there. A little bit sorry for him. And that wasn't the only way. Rook g3 won as well, right? So it was just an unfortunate oversight that the bishop got tracked, and he should have played knight to f6. Okay, so let's go on to these 2 other amazing examples of blunders in candidates matches. Okay, Reshevsky Szabo. I've got that as game 231 on my list. Go down there. Quick ways to scroll slowly. You can see there's a lot of games here. And let's go to the key position. Knight takes f2 check's just been played. Position's winning for Szabo. Knight f6 check is one of the ways to win. And what should black do? There's only 2 moves you can play. One loses, and one loses even quicker. This is great fun, this one. Anyways, the bishop takes f6, and what's the move? Yeah, right, it's being the pawn. So the move that should be played is queen takes g6 check and checkmate. But would you believe it? Szabo missed that. He's still totally winning, but this game ended up as a draw, right? Mate in 2, missed by 2 grandmasters and a candidate. Yeah, so this is just a quick tour. We'll probably may go into, well, actually this one you can't go into much more detail, but maybe some of the story about it. And Reshevsky, yeah, that extra half a point, he goes to Smyslov. So that's the sort of factor I want to sort of look at in terms of each of the individual candidate tournaments. And the other one we're going to look at today is Petrosian-Bronstein, shockingly famous. Probably just worth looking at the position. This is totally dominated position by White. Black's almost in zugzwang. Black's just moving his knight backwards and forwards, knight backwards and forwards. Oh, he moved his knight the other way. Guess what happened? Petrosian wasn't paying any attention. Lost his queen, resigned. So, I mean, Petrosian, this was 56, was it? The challenger for a few years. Just mind-boggling, that one. And there's the story that actually Bronstein only had a second or two left and was going to lose on time anyway, so Petrosian shouldn't have resigned. But you can see that what was happening there. Black was just moving the knight backwards in those 2 squares. And I just wanted to show you something else, just as a bit of a warning, something to be wary of as you're doing this sort of project. Okay, so I've just brought up the 1959 candidates. Obviously, Tal was on the ascendancy here. Just beat Carres, qualified, won, and the World Championship, lost it in the rematch. So, but this is just sort of data quality issue. Page here is showing you the sort of different blunders. And, I mean, what the hell is this? Blunder by Tal, move 50 in Fischer-Tal. What? So there's a mistake in the scorecard. And let's go and have a look at that. It's game 5-6-6. And you can see Fischer 1, Tal 0. That's not right. Okay, here's the position. Now, Black is totally winning. And unfortunately, you can't see it. PGN across over there. It gives B to A1, A4, B2 wins, right? But that can't have possibly happened because in this position there would be not A4, but rook to C8 check, picking up the rook and winning the game. So what's going on here? This is just one of those things where some of these scorecards in older games are wrong. Just be careful, just a warning. What actually was going on here is that Bishop A1 was not played, and allegedly the game played in the game was King to C1, which is one of the winning moves. And then the rook goes somewhere, or F8. Now we can play Bishop to A1 because this checking tactic doesn't exist. So I just thought that was, as I was running this and I was saying, what's going on? In fact, there's some databases give this as a win to Fischer, and of course, 59 is famous for Tal beating Fischer 4-0 on his World Chess Championship. So he couldn't have won a game. Just bear that in mind. Okay, cool. So cool. That's all for today. Just a couple of quick fun games, and just one of those sort of kick off during the candidates, a series I will return to probably after I've completed the World Chess Championship Blunder series, and just sort of have a look, because these are amazing tournaments by great players, and maybe we've lost a little bit of the knowledge of maybe some of the games and blunders which actually determined who got the chance to challenge for the World Chess Championship. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for watching.